Hi, this is Mary Jo Webster. This video is going to talk about using if functions. These are considered logical functions, and I think they're one of the most useful things in spreadsheets. It's once you understand what they can do, you can find lots of different ways to use them. So if functions allow you to do things like this, where we've been told that every employee in this city department is going to get a 1% raise. But let's say 1% of their salary is less than $350, then they're going to get a flat 350. So it's this either this or this with there's a dependent variable in there depending on something. And so an if function allows us to evaluate the situation and say, well, which one is this? And then we can have it drop a new number into this column, into a new column, depending on which thing it is. As you'll see in the next example, you can also have more than one evaluation. Like, is this true? If so, then do this. If not, then do that. And then what to do if that second thing is also false. So you can, that's called nesting if functions, but we'll start with a real basic. So we have these salaries. We need to determine if 1% of their salary is less than or equal to $350. If so, then their raise is going to be $350. If not, then their raise is going to be whatever 1% of their salary is. So basically, we're going to do a bunch of math in here. So an if function is like a lot of the other functions we've done in Sheets. It starts with an equal sign and then the word if, and then open parenthesis. And now we need to feed it 3 arguments. The first thing is that evaluation, something that tells it what to evaluate to determine what to do. So that in this case, that evaluation, we can do it a couple different ways, but let's do if the salary in F6 times 0.01 is less than equal to 350, and then you do a comma. So that is the evaluation part. So we're telling it take the salary, multiply it by 0.01, and if that is less than or equal to 350, now the second argument in here is what we want it to do if this is true. It's what we want to do if this is true is to put the number 350 in there. That would be their raise if that evaluation is true. If that is false, then we want it to take the salary in F6 and multiply by 0.01. So that's the third argument. So we have the evaluation, a comma, what to do if it's true, a comma, and what to do if it's false. When you hit enter, I'm not going to autofill. So this first one, 1% is definitely more than $350, so it put in what that 1% is. If we copy this down now, you could see that that second one did just, it was less than or equal to 350, so it put in 350. It's interesting that it's formatting the cells differently depending on what I put in here. But we should be able to right mouse click, format the cells, or we'll just go up here and make it currency. There we go. Decrease decimals. There we go. So now we could very easily then say what the new salary is by taking the salary plus the raise, and voila, we have a new set of numbers. If we could also add up this column right here of the raise and quickly say, here's how much extra money the city is going to dole out because of this raise. So this could be done on deadline. So that's a basic if statement. Let's move on and look at something a little more complicated. Everybody loves football scores, right? So this is game scores from the year 2018. And we have the date of the game, date and time of the game, who the home team was, who the visit team was, that home team score, and the visit team score. But we don't have anything in here that says who won the game. So let's say there might be a couple ways you want to use this. One would be I just simply want to figure out how many wins the New Orleans Saints have and how many losses they have over the course of the season, or every team, what their win-loss record is. Or I want to see what percentage of the time the home team wins versus what percentage of the time the visit team wins. So we need some columns in here that have those things so we could do that kind of analysis. Now, this one is a little more complicated because an NFL game could end in a tie, like this Cleveland Browns Pittsburgh Steelers game. Right away, the first week of the season, it ended in a 21-21 tie. So this is a case where we need to look and see. We don't have a black and white thing. It's not one team won and the other team lost. It is possible there's a tie. So we need to first evaluate, is there a tie? And if there is, we can label it as a tie. And then if it's not a tie, then evaluate, is the home score greater than the visit score? And then determine which team won based on that. So this is what is known as a nested if statement. So we say if F2 equals G2. So that is our criteria. If that is the case, then we have a tie. So I'm going to put in quote marks just the word tie. And what's going to happen is it's going to drop the word tie right into this column. So that is the criteria and the true portion of our first if statement. Now, in the false portion of our first if statement, we're going to drop a whole nother if statement. So if F2 is greater than G2, so that means if the home score would be greater than the visit score, then we want to be able to say the home team won. In this case, I want the team name, which in this case, the home team name is scored in D2. So we're going to tell it, take the contents from column D, cell D2 and put it here. And then if that is not true, then it must be the visit team that won. So we're going to put E2. And then you close out both parentheses. And the hard part is making sure you have the right number of opening and closing parentheses. So it looks like our first function doesn't have a false portion, but it really does. It's just that whole second if statement is the false portion. So it's going to go through and it's going to find the ties and it's going to take those out of the equation. And then it's going to, any ones that are not a tie, then it's going to determine which score is greater and put in the equivalent name. So here we go. Here's the one that got the tie. This one, it looked at is it a tie? Nope, it's not a tie. And then then it went on to, is F5 greater than G5? Nope. So we're going to put E5 in this cell. So it ends up being the Cincinnati Bengals. So we can do the same kind of thing. So let me back up. So here you can see we dropped, in the previous example, we did some math. Here we dropped a word in a column. Here we took a value from another column and dropped it in. So you can do all kinds of things. So in this one, I wanted to either say tie, home, or visit, depending on whether it was the home team or the visit team. So the formula is going to look a lot the same. So if F2 equals G2, then we have a tie. And then if F2 is greater than G2, the home team won, if not, the visit team won. And in this case, we're dropping all words in there, but you can, the point I want to get across here is that what you put in these three positions in your if statement could be a wide range of things. It can do almost anything in here. Math, words, pull something from another cell, other calculations. It's very flexible. And then let's show you one other situation where I found if statements are super useful. So this is a data cleanup task. This is and I see this sometimes with maybe some population data where it lists the name of the city and then the name of the state and then all the cities in that state and then another state and then all the cities in that state. Here we're listing this is an old roster of team members. So it's listing a football team and then all the players on that football team. And then here's the Atlanta Falcons, all those players, and then the Baltimore Ravens and all those players, and it goes on and on. We can't sort this sheet because then we won't know that, Kelly Gregg, for example, is on the Baltimore Ravens. So to meet the tidy data principles, we need the word, a new column in here with the team name on it on every row. So we could then eliminate these header rows and make this data actually useful to us. So the thing is, with an if statement, you got to find a pattern. And in this case, the pattern is that each label, the position column is blank when it's a label. It's always filled out when it's not a label. And I figured this out by doing things like turning on filters and looking at all the ones that are blank in here. And you can see it's only ones that are labels. None of the player rows are blank in the position column. So that's good. So basically what we can tell Excel is that if you see a blank cell here, that means we're on the first row of the team and we should take this team name. And if we're not in a blank cell, then we should just continue using the same team we did on the row above. And now this is going to look a little strange because I'm going to start on this first row with Dwayne Starks, and I'm going to have it evaluate what's going on the row above it. So if B4, so it's a row above, equals quote, quote, which means blank, then I want to grab A4, which is the name of the team. If not, I'm going to have it grab C4. And there's nothing in C4 right now, and you're probably looking at me like, what? But there will be in a minute. So let's just look at this. So right now, what's going to happen is on the row for Dwayne Starks, it's going to say, is B4 blank? Yes, it is blank. So let's grab the value from A4 and be done. All right? I'm not going to copy this down. So we got this down. Arizona Cardinals, this is good. So now if we copy this down, we still get Arizona Cardinals. And here's why. So it's going to look at B5. So now we're on the row for Michael Stone. It's going to look at B5 and says, is it blank? Well, no, it's not blank. So we have to do the false. So we're going to take what's in C5. And what's in C5 is what we just did on the row above. So if we copy this down and get to at least the next team, you're going to see it make the flip. So there, right here, this looks funny. It's on the label for Atlanta Falcons, but remember, we're going to get rid of these labels, so we don't care. So it's still putting in Arizona Cardinals because it's looking at the row above. But once it gets to Travis Hall, then it's like, oh yeah, there's a blank there. We got to take what's in A71, and that would be the Atlanta Falcons, and then it keeps going and does its job. So this would save. I've seen people try to copy and paste and like copy this and then drag it down for all the rows that you need and then do the next one and the next one. Well, with 32 NFL teams, that is way too much. So this is a lot easier. But the key is you have to have a pattern. If there's no pattern, this will not work properly. Maybe you'll just have some problems here or there, and maybe it would get you 90% of the way there. But you have to have a pattern. So if statements need patterns for whatever they're doing, and when you see problems with data and it has a pattern, an if statement might help you solve it.